Okay, my name is Hannah Williams. This is my final presentation for CIT 260, and we're just gonna jump right in. So, I'll explain the difference between static variables and the non-static variables. So static class variable is a variable that remains the same, so static, throughout all the instances in a class. For example, if you have a variable in a test class and you set the value to 5, then throughout the entire class, the variable will have the value of 5. I would want to use this if I had a set value that I didn't want to ever change, and I could just set it throughout the class and not have to deal with it again. A non-static variable is for individual instances. For example, I can make a variable for each test in a test class and give it a new value, and the different variables would not impact each other throughout the entire class. And I would want to use this in case of those instances where I wanted to set different values for different variables. So in our game, an example of calling a non-static instance is that you have to create a new instance. So for example, with screen view, the way that you do it to do that is you do scene view, and then you name it, and then you say new scene view to create a new instance, and then you say what you named it, and then you do display. You call the method and make it do what you want it to do. And then for a static variable up here in game and for starting to get the saved game, you would import the class that it's originally created in, and then do the name of the class, so game control dot the name of the method, and then call the method in the parentheses. And so that is how you reference them, right? And then understanding of when to use arrays, array lists, and enums. So an example of an array is our inventory. So an array is a fixed list, meaning no new object can be added to it, but the information within the list can change. Each element in an array is referenced using an index, and we use an array for our inventory because the items that you get in the game are set, but the quantity of your items change. So these are the only items that you can get throughout the entire game, but obviously when you buy or use things, these change. So that's why we decided to use an array. An example of an enum in our game is with the animals. So there are only 4 animals that you can hunt, and I should probably tell you what an enum is. And an enum is a fixed list with a fixed data types and length. The data types and length cannot be changed once the list is implemented. It's different from an array because nothing can change within the enum or be added to it. Each item in the list can be called using a specific keyword. We chose to use an enum list with animals because you can only hunt the set animals, and they have set description, set weight, and set difficulty. So these things never change. And that's an enum. We don't actually have an array list in our program, but an array list is when both a new object can be added and the information can be changed, and it's made up of different types, data types. And we didn't use one, but we could have used it with inventory if there were special objects that someone could pick up on the trail, that they could be added into that, or if we could instead of having things be listed just automatically, if you don't have anything, then for it to disappear from your list. We could have also used it with animals if animals were seasonal, so that different animals would appear, and also if the weights would change depending on the season. But yeah, so those are the different kind of lists. So how to use a basic statement and index through an array. So with print actor view, I'm going to show you this because it's doing an enum list. So our actors are here. It's an enum list. And this function prints the actor list for name and description to an external file. So I'm going to come back to this. But basically, we used a for loop for it because there are multiple aspects in the list. And so basically the way that it works is that it goes, you get the name and then you get the description and then you loop, right? So you get the name and then you get the description and then you loop. So get the name, get the description. So that's why we want to use for loops, so that we didn't have to call each individual name and description over and over and over again. And that's it for an enum. For an array, an example of that, I'm the one who did this one. I didn't make this one. But so for location, the way that it works is that it has a resource for, and then so it's saying when j is 0 and j is less than the number of columns, then add to j. And then it rolls through the row, the column, if the players visited it, if it's been blocked out yet, and then it goes through everything and then loops. And the reason that we used it for the map for creating the locations, this is what like our actual map is made out of, and this is how it knows if you've been somewhere. And so that's how that works. So it goes through to the different locations and their points on our map to see where you've been and where you haven't been and where you need to go. So yeah. And then demonstrate the understanding of how to throw, propagate, and catch runtime errors. So I did companion for that. And now realizing that I don't have the right thing open, which is good. So here, see if I can remember this then. You gotta be kidding me. How is this possible?